Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Palaca City Commission meeting on July 23rd, 2026. It is 6 p.m., and I'm calling the meeting to order, beginning with the invocation led by Pastor Mulberry and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Davis. Please stand if you're able.
Let us pray. Father, before we ask you for anything, we want to thank you for everything. You taught us that in all things to give thanks, for this is the will of God. We give you thanks for how you blessed us to come through this day. You brought us together once again in a meeting for the city purpose. We ask, God, that you will give us the wisdom that is needful to lead this city, God, in the right direction. Pray that you would have your way, God, and bless the dice, everyone and participants. We pray your will be done now in this house. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis?
Present.
Commissioner Campbell?
Present.
Commissioner Borum?
Present.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Mayor Carrera?
Present. Thank you. We have quorum. On to number 2, oath of office, interim city manager. Adopt Resolution 2026-122, a resolution of the City of Palaca, Florida, appointing Cynthia W. Curry as interim city manager of the City of Palaca, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute and attest an employment agreement, providing for an effective date and providing for Scrivener's errors. Do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Oh, you're over there. We'll do all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Passed unanimously. Time for the oath of office. Ms. Curry, please. It used to be up here. It used to be up here.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that I state your name, please?
I, Cynthia W. Curry,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully perform the duties
that I will faithfully perform the
of
duties
interim city
of
manager
interim city manager
and will support and honor to the best
and will support and honor to the best
of my
of my
ability
ability
all of the applicable laws of the state of Florida,
all of the applicable laws of the state of Florida,
Putnam County,
Putnam County,
and the city of
and the city of Palaca.
I hereby, through this oath,
I hereby, through this oath,
affirm that I will perform duties
perform that I will perform duties
of this public trust and affair,
of this public trust and affair,
equitable and ethical manner,
equitable and ethical manner,
befitting the dignity and responsibilities of the office.
befitting the dignity and responsibilities of the office.
Congratulations.
On to approval of minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to read June 10th, 2026, Public Arts Workshop, June 11th, 2026, Regular Commission Meeting, June 17th, 2026, Budget Workshop, and June 29th, 2026, Special Call Meeting minutes?
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Borum?
Yes. Mayor? Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, Mayor Carrera, I apologize.
Yes. On to public recognitions, presentations in the spotlight. Employee of the Month, Mr. White.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The city of Palaca is proud to recognize Chief Jason Shaw as our Employee of the Month in appreciation of his exceptional leadership, unwavering professionalism, and steadfast commitment to public service. Chief Shaw has exemplified the highest standards of public service and leadership. He consistently demonstrates initiative, creativity, reliability, and teamwork while serving as a model of professionalism for employees across the organization. Regardless of the challenge, Chief Shaw is always willing to step forward when needed, providing thoughtful guidance and dependable support to both city leaders and staff. His willingness to help wherever he is needed has made a lasting impact on the city of Palaca and the community we serve. Chief Shaw leads with integrity, respect, and an unwavering commitment to the city's mission and values. His calm demeanor and sound judgment and ability to analyze complex situations allow him to develop practical, effective solutions. He is known for asking the right questions, paying close attention to detail, and providing guidance that inspires confidence in those around him. Whether mentoring colleagues or assisting leadership, Chief Shaw's presence brings stability, reassurance, and professionalism. Chief Shaw's commitment to excellence is evident in every aspect of his work. His thoughtful leadership promotes safety, accountability, and responsible decision-making while setting a standard of excellence for others to follow. During periods of organizational transition and uncertainty, Chief Shaw willingly stepped aside outside of his traditional role to provide leadership and support across the city. He embraced unfamiliar responsibilities, collaborated with fellow department leaders, and helped guide the organization toward greater stability and confidence. Chief Shaw, we thank you for your outstanding service, exceptional leadership, and unwavering dedication to the city of Palaca. Your contributions have not gone unnoticed, and we are honored to recognize you as Employee of the Month. Congratulations on this, and well deserved.
Yeah, I thought he was going to speak first.
Really this way? Got it, thank you.
You speech.
This was a surprise, a pretty good one too. I was waiting for the joke, the punchline to come in and then to continue on. First, let me start by saying thank you to fellow team members, my employees, my supervisors, and all that we serve for the city of Palaca. It's truly an honor to be a member of the city of Palaca, to have the ability to step in when needed, and to lead a team that is that does wonders that I get to see on a daily basis. So I was honored to be able to do so. Throughout my career, I was always taught it's not the leader that seeks the limelight, but what you do not only for the overall organization and what credit that the organization gets, but what those below you and how they begin to strive and advance. And that's the judgment of the leader itself. So with that, I will say thank you. I'm definitely shocked, and I guess that means I can go home early. Thank you.
Sons of the American Revolution Firefighter of the Year Award and Heroism Award. Come on up, please. And please give us your name.
My name is Paul Sapp. I am the Heroism and Public Service Chairman of the local chapter, St. Augustine Sons of the American Revolution. And with me is Phil Perry. He's our chapter president. So we always like to give recognition to our first responders, our police, our fire, and other important people who do a really good job for us. We do this every year. We're glad to be back again this year to address everybody here in the City Commission. So we're going to give out some awards for heroism to some very brave firefighters. And let me call out their names here. We do have a few awards. So we're proud to award the SAR Heroism Medal to members of the City of Palatka Fire Department, Captain Kenny Reed, Captain Kenny Sugden, Engineer Marcus Wilson, Engineer Zane Wilsey, Engineer Matt House, Firefighter Lauren Futch, and Firefighter Ben Stevens. On May 12, 2025, these Palatka firefighters responded to an active structure fire on North Maryland Avenue in Putnam County, Florida. Demonstrating exceptional courage, they deliberately placed themselves in extreme danger by entering the burning mobile home. While conducting an aggressive interior attack, crews forced entry through windows after removing wood and other obstructions, locating and removing 3 victims, an adult female and 2 children, who were rapidly transported to the hospital. 1 adult was found deceased on scene, and a 7-year-old child self-rescued. This selfless act highlights the extraordinary bravery and dedication of our fire personnel who willingly risk their lives to serve our community in its greatest time of need. So thank you all very much. Let me, there's a whole bunch of them here. There we go. So let me go down the row here. I don't know everybody's name. Captain Kenny Reed and Ben Stevens. He's not here. Lauren, you from last year. Matt House. Zane Wilson. Engineer Marcus Wilson. And Kenny Sugden.
Thank you. Congratulations. You want to say anything?
Let's keep the meeting rolling.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, guests, and staff. We just appreciate this time to recognize these people for what they do every day and what they're willing to do. And we've seen that they are willing to risk their lives to save others' lives. We appreciate the Sons of the American Revolution helping us recognize this and the Commission allowing it to happen here today. Thank you.
On to City Manager. Oh my God. On to City Manager and Administrative Reports. Interim City Manager Report. Update on Newtown Museum and Cultural Center.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the Commission. This item is brought before you today in the form of a staff report. There was discussion at previous meetings regarding the proposed Newtown Museum and Cultural Center Memorandum of Understanding. I've had conversations with our internal staff and Mr. Hill in preparation for this report today. As I mentioned, we're not bringing the MOU back at this time. I thought that it was appropriate for the commission to get just a little bit more background on where the city has been as it relates to the relationship and partnership with Newtown Museum and Cultural Center. I think it's important for us to have a little bit of background about the Jenkins Junior Memorial Gymnasium, as we call it, the Jenkins Community Center. There was an original grant of $690,000 scoped for the purpose of eligible cultural and historical facility purposes in the area of cultural significance. Of course, this occurred at the Jenkins Center. The grant was awarded in July of 2021, and the term at that time was through June 30 of 2023. The grant was actually extended, and there was a city match required of approximately $190,000 that was added to the $690,000, bringing the total funding for the Jenkins Community Center renovations to $880,000. As the project was scoped out, there was commission approval over time for a total allocation. In addition to the grant and the initial match, the city put in additional dollars, bringing the total allocated for the Jenkins Community Center improvements to $1,191,470. Currently, the Jenkins Community Center improvements are nearing completion. There is an estimated $134,730 remaining in the city match on this project. And the city match is not a match associated with the original grant, because the original grant has been closed out. The city match really just refers to the supplemental money that the city placed into this project. So there's no grant association necessarily with this money. Regarding the museum, it was organized, and a not-for-profit has been organized around the museum for its operations. The following references capture some of the discussions that the city has had in partnership with the museum over time. On January 9th, there was a presentation made to the City Commission regarding Jenkins Newtown Visioning Session, and so that means internal staff from the city, along with leadership from the museum. They met and they had a visioning session. There were many meetings, but the one that I was able to reference was held on December 12th of 2024. On March 27th, 2025, there was a resolution, 2025 R-47, 6.1, that was placed on the consent agenda of the City of Palatka, naming the facility in the Jenkins Center as the Newtown Museum and Cultural Center at Jenkins. On February 12th, 2026, there was a proclamation presented by the City Commission to the museum by Mayor Correa in celebration of Black History Month. And on May 28th, 2026, there was a presentation made by Mr. Terrell Hill to the City Commission regarding the Memorandum of Understanding between the city and the museum to operate the museum in the Jenkins Community Center. The agenda item was referred back to staff, and this is the report coming from that, the process of those meetings afterwards. I think it's important for the commission to, at this point, focus on where the dollars that are remaining, whether those dollars actually go into the improvement of the community center, Jenkins Community Center, for the purpose of the museum being located there. I did not find anything in the record where the commission had actually made that decision for the allocation of those funds. And so before we can move into an MOU, I think that has to be addressed. And so that is one of the first things that I think the commission needs to discuss. The second thing is that in the MOU that was presented, it was a draft, of course, there was an allocation or an ask for an allocation of $25,000 annually for the next 5 years. There was some preliminary discussion afterwards about that. I think that it was appropriate at that time for me to have a brief discussion with Mr. Hill about the annual operating budget once the center was up, having an annual budget presented to the city so we could take a look at it and look at the other elements of that budget in addition to whatever contribution the city decides to make. Because I'm sure there would be other elements to an operating budget just besides the city's allocation, whatever that amount should be. And so with those items really still pending, I think the recommendation today would be in good faith for staff to continue with the issuance of a professional services contract that would assist in determining the cost of the build-out of the museum in the Jenkins Center, because quite frankly, that's the point that we need to decide. And based on the cost of the build-out and the availability of funds, develop a recommendation for consideration by the City Commission on how to proceed. And then hold on the commitment of operating support to the museum pending a final decision around build-out cost and timing. So that's where we are today. I have been working with Mr. Cutright on this, and he is available for any questions regarding the Jenkins Center, but that is where we are. We really need to have some direction from the commission on moving forward with the improvements in the Jenkins Center for there to be a space for the museum. Right now, as it relates to the $134,730 that remains in city funding in support of the Jenkins Center, and obviously in the Jenkins Center, if the commission deems it appropriate to build the space out for the museum, I think that we need to understand a little bit about what is included in that 134. There is a line item based on my understanding in the 134 in anticipation of support for building the museum out for an engineer or planner to go in and basically do the estimates for what it would take to actually do the build out. So there are some pending decisions that we need to make before we actually move into an MOU. So it's, Madam Mayor, it's open for discussion by the commission.
Anybody have any questions, additional information before we stop discussing this? In terms of the remaining funds available for the Jenkins Community Center, the $135,730, what other items are needed to be done aside of the museum, or is this the only remaining item? Mr. Cutright, come up, please.
Oh, hello. Well, the remaining funds for that project, that is actually what's left. We already have allocated the money to finish the rest of the projects already set aside. The remaining funds, that's what came up to be $130-some-thousand, and that's really roughly 60-some thousand out of the city mess that y'all allocated about a year or two ago, and then we also budgeted in the budget GL line for some money to cover the cost for the Newtown Museum when it came to be built out. And that's where it came up to be $130-some thousand.
Okay, so it's anticipated to be for the build-out of the museum. Okay, that wasn't clear to me.
And
I'm just
Madam
gonna
Mayor, to
clarify.
include that, the build-out is, I'm assuming the one, and I want to be clear about this, we don't have a number from the engineering firm that says that it's going to be whatever that number is.
It
I
could
don't
be
know what
more,
that
could be
number is.
less.
Right,
Okay.
I just want to make that clear. But
Okay.
this figure does include, I believe, funds for a planner or the engineer to come in and do that work.
Yes, it's 30, Pastor Rowe is quoting us $30,000 to come in and do the scope of work for that. We have had, if you don't mind, sitting hands back in, we have had a couple quotes came in before we did the RP program, and they came in around $65,000 to $75,000. So that's where we are gauging this at and the price that we have.
Does anybody else? Go ahead.
So, Mr. Cutright, what other, you say you put some stuff aside, money aside for other things that has to be done over there. Could you name those other things? I
They're
mean,
putting
like,
the fence up as we speak now. They're
A
finishing
fence?
that up. OCall is coming in to do some drop stations to have, so we can have guest Wi-Fi throughout the building. We're actually changing all the side doors of the multipurpose room and also the room for the classroom, putting doors in for that right there. We have did the signage, and matter of fact, I got it right here. Let's see what I'm trying to get. Property with the doors, we got the flooring, we're gonna redo the flooring in a couple of those areas, back in the back classroom that we had the vandalism, so we're gonna redo that. So all that's been allocated out, so the funding's left is going, it could go directly toward the build out of the museum. And we already have POs and everything quote for the things I just told you about.
and this is not to, only because I think some commissioners was there the other day, and sound system. Do y'all have,
Yes.
that was something that needed to be addressed?
We,
really
OCall, and also, I'll give you the names, we got 3 quotes. OCall is coming in today to give us another quote. We're actually gonna put 2 state-of-the-art sound systems in the multipurpose room and also at Price Morton. We're getting the build out on both of those.
Could we not skimp on those things, because when the public come, You already know.
Yeah. And we're allocating $17,000 to $18,000 per building, and it's already in the budget. This is something that was budgeted. Commissioner Bourne and Commissioner Campbell have hit on it, so we actually have that money set aside. I just wanted the Price Morton to be halfway finished before we moved in there, because most of the money is going to go into Price Morton build out first before we do the multipurpose.
And my last question, I know a lot of those funds were to harden that center for, they've thrown around stuff about shelters and stuff. Are we compliant, or have we considered those things for that building? And if so, what does that mean? What was the hardening part of it?
That would probably be a David about the hardening part, but it's coded to be a hurricane relief shelter and also a jump site. When I say a jump site, for when we have major disasters, that can be a site where y'all can come and set up and work. But the shelter also would be coded to be used for homeless shelter for temporary use, not a permanent use.
And that, we're talking about, in this instance, Price Martin, just to
Price
clarify for
Price
the
Martin.
audience.
So,
Because we're jumping around here.
okay, no, I'm Jenkins. I'm on Jenkins.
You're on
Yeah.
Jenkins, okay.
No hardening for those type of things?
No.
No?
But
What about the kitchen?
the kitchen at Jenkins or?
The kitchen at Jenkins? Because I
Kitchen at
heard that
Jenkins.
we were actually, because you remember the
Yes.
phone conversation reference to,
Well, we actually, in part of this, not this money, but budget money, we actually gonna put a sink closer to the kitchen back there in the back. But other than that, the kitchen is functional. The fire marshal came by there and everything's functional. It's just the sink back there need to be redone and make sure that we have water closer to the sink to have a full-fledged functional kitchen.
do we have an industrial stove?
Yes.
Thank you.
Everything is fully functional with the stove and everything. We got a refrigerator. It's just the sink, where is that? We need to redo it. And we also have it used to be, what was the plumbing company here? They have changed their name since then, but they came out and gave us some quotes, so we're actually working on getting that.
Okay,
Anything else?
no.
Does anybody else have any questions, Mr. Cutler? Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
So just to clarify, $134,000 is remaining and dedicated to the, to refinish Jenkins for the Newtown Museum.
It's
That's the
allocated.
bottom line.
Yes, it's
Thank you
allocated.
very much.
It's allocated to
Minus the 30,000 out.
Correct. For-
104,730 for the actual build out.
Right.
And anybody else have direction?
Can we follow the
just-
direction of the
Okay, I just want to be clear on that. Okay, thank you.
city manager recommendation?
Thank you.
So, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
The three items that are listed here under recommendations for us to move ahead in good faith and issue the contract to Pacero, who is apparently in place to do the work around the planning for the space and estimating how much it's going to cost to finish it out. We're going to move forward with that.
That's what it sounds like from the will of the commission, that they want to move
Sounds good.
forward with your recommendations. Thank you.
Yes.
We'll come back to the commission
Okay, thank you.
once that is done.
Thank you. Anything else? Ms. Pierre, financial report for May?
Greetings, Mayor and Commissioners. Before you is the month of May financial reports, the financial dashboard. The first page, okay, you want to pull it up for me? Oh, perfect, thank you. Thank you. So the first page is of the financial dashboard, shows the financial condition is stable. For the month of May, we're 66% into the year. The numbers highlighted in green represent stable conditions where revenue has exceeded expenditures. And you can go to the next page. The next page shows a list of the general fund departments, and each department is stable, highlighted in green. You can go to the next page. And the last page has the fund reserves for the month of May for the general fund, sanitation, and utilities. And that concludes my report, unless you have questions.
of Ms. Pierre? Thank you.
Thank you.
On to announcement for the executive meeting, Ms. West.
Good evening. Pursuant to Section 286.011, Section 8 of the Florida statutes, the City Commission will hold a private attorney-client session commonly referred to as a shade meeting on Tuesday, July 28, 2026 at 5 p.m. here at City Hall. The purpose of the session is to discuss strategy related to litigation in the pending matter of Jeff Nations versus the City of Palaca. The session will commence and conclude in an open public meeting, and the entire private session held in the shade will be recorded by a certified court reporter. In attendance will be the mayor, city commissioners, city manager, and the city attorney. Immediately following the attorney-client session, the City Commission will hold a closed executive session pursuant to Section 447.605, subsection 1, Florida statutes, to discuss matters related to the city's collective bargaining negotiations with the firefighters union. The session will be limited to the City Commission, the city manager, the city attorney, and the city's labor negotiation team.
Thank you. Thank you. We're all set with that? On to public comments. I'm going to open the floor to public comments for items not specifically mentioned or listed on the agenda. If there's anybody here for public comments, please fill out a yellow comment card and bring it up and forward with you. Your time will be limited to 3 minutes, and we will not be able to resolve whatever your concern is at this time until we do further research. I'm going to open the floor. I do have a public comment card for Ms. Kitchens.
I'll pass, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reyes, please give us your name and city and town of residence.
Thank you. Good evening. Yvette Reyes, Bostwick.
Yvette Reyes, Bostwick. Thank you. I have two things. Regarding the Jenkins Center, is that no longer going to be a cold weather shelter like it was last year, based on what was just said? I know you're not going to answer it now, but that's the one thing. And then the second thing, as you know, I've asked about the $124,700 ARPA funds that were on your budget item, and I've been asking for the obligation that was assigned to that, and I haven't received it. I had a conversation with Ms. Curry this week, and she advised that that money was never obligated to the homelessness, and therefore she's having to reallocate that money into different funds that are obligated. So I just need to understand, it's been since 2024 that you were supposed to obligate it, and it wasn't, apparently. I don't know, I haven't been able to get the documentation, but I'd like to find out what happened. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry, please come up, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Session Williams, and I hadn't had a chance to just fill this out, but I am a commissioner with the Palaca Housing Authority Board, and I'm here. I don't see it on the agenda, but I'm trying to see if some of that can be addressed, or we can come to be on the agenda to address some concerns that we were emailed about reappointment.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we want to respond to any of these things at this time? Ms. Curry?
Sure. As it relates to the public housing issue, I believe that in conversations that I had last week or the week prior to with the attorney as well as the clerk, the openings, and I believe it's 4 of them, will be advertised, if they haven't been advertised already, and the recommendations for the commission to consider and approve will be brought to you at the August 27th commission meeting. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
I have a concern because that is incorrect. There is actually only 2 seats that is available or up for, that should be vacant. And then you have 2 seats that are vacant in the year of 2027, and then you have a vacancy that will be open in 2028. And that is according to documentation that has been previously sent to the commission, in which I've asked that question several times. So there is not 4 vacant seats on that board. There should be only 2 vacant seats on that board, and the 2 vacant seats should be Dr. Evans and Ms. Williams.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to yield to Ms. West and/or Ms. Hayes.
So the Palaca Housing Authority is a creature of statute, and it is clear that the mayor, along with the city commission, make those appointments. It has to be codified in the form of a resolution, and in our research, we have not been able to find anything since 2020 on the appointments of any of those members. So if we do have documentation in the form of a resolution, by all means, please get those to me. Our research internally has not been able to find any resolution since that time. The last one that was done by Mayor Hill, and I have not been able to find anything, and I've been working with the clerk and going through old records to find anything, and we are not able to find those appointments.
I mean, we had a actual workshop with reference to this matter, and again, I know I've personally set up here and made reappointments to individuals on that board, and that has been in recent years, and it has not been since 2020. So I know personally that I've made reappointments or voted for reappointments of individuals that sat on that board. And again, according to documentation that was provided to the city commission, there are only, or should be, only 2 vacant seats. And if that is not the case, where does that leave the Palaca Housing Authority with regards to being able to conduct business and move forward in this interim time? But again, I'm very much confident in knowing that 2 vacant seats should be available in 2025. They became vacant in 2025. The next 2 are vacant come 2027, and then the last one, which is held by Ms. Spells, is 2028. And again, I've called, I've asked for this documentation, and I have the documentation to provide.
Okay, so to address your question about what happens in the interim, merely because their terms have expired does not automatically, according to the statute, result in a vacancy of that position. They will continue to hold that position until the mayor nominates and makes the appointment. I did review some documentation from a workshop, but it did not take the statutory requisite form of a resolution by the mayor making the nominations and making the proper appointments. So again, if there is documentation that contradicts what I've been able to find in terms of the resolutions making these appointments, I am more than willing to take a look at those so we can reassess how many actual expired terms that we're dealing with.
I wish that would have been done prior to putting that out with reference to saying that there were 4 vacancies, and I wish that just would have been vetted prior to that going out.
Go ahead.
No.
Sorry, what?
I thought you were about to say something.
No.
No, that was hers. She already spoke. She was just one of them.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
any further discussion on?
No, and that was my understanding too, so if somebody has resolution, documentation of those resolutions, that would be great. And to make it clear, the mayor nominates those to be appointed, but ultimately the final approval is with the commission.
Correct.
Just to make that clear.
Madam Mayor, relative to Ms. Reyes's comments, she and I did have a conversation on yesterday. I provided explanation around the ARPA allocations that were previously identified in the plan, the ARPA plan. Before you today is a new plan with a new recommendation for distribution of the remaining funds, and we will be prepared to speak about that when that item comes up.
Thank you. Cold weather, and the other thing that Ms. Reyes brought up is the cold weather shelter. Last year, come up, Mr. Cutright, we did do a cold weather shelter at Jenkins Community Center. So clarification for the future.
from y'all guidance that we'll continue to have that temporary cold weather shelter as long as it meet the threshold that we had in the criteria of the weather being lower than 35 degrees. So until y'all tell us that we no longer want to do that, that would always be in place. We will just require several days' notice to put in place the cots and everything else.
Is the future intent, though, to have it at Price Mountain?
Yes.
Yes.
But it needs to be,
Just to
that'll be an alternate site.
Okay, thank you. On to the consent agenda. The request has been made to pull D and G. Are there any other items to be pulled?
7, D like dog.
Did you say D or did you say B? Baby?
D as in dog,
D and G.
Yeah, I have B and G, but I thought Commissioner Davis had said something else.
She said D and G. She's,
No, I said
Did
D
you-
and G. I said D and G.
I think she also said.
Yeah, I'll
Did you-
pull for someone who wants to make comments.
Right.
Yes.
That was D, right?
That was
D. And I. So DG and I.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda, the consent agenda with the exception of DG and I.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Guerrero.
Yes. Item B.
No, D.
See, it's not, it sounds like D.
D.
Sorry. Okay.
I think B was called B as well, man.
Who said B?
I think somebody said BG.
No, DG. This was DG and I.
Okay.
Um,
D, adopt resolution 2026-R-116, granting a special events permit to Lee Hall Jr. for the Little League Water Bash to be held on July 26 from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Booker Park. Ms. Kitchens wanted the item pulled.
I live in Kitchens, Palatka, Florida, and I asked this to be pulled for the commission to talk about it. I have no particular problem with it except two things. At the last commission meeting, I think it was, when there was discussion about the last wonderful block party that was had, that was turned to be a fiasco with people being injured and 1,000 people going to Midtown Shopping Center and creating havoc. The assistant chief, Matt Newcomb, suggested that the city put restraints on the amplified sound when they suspend the sound ordinance, as in 80 decibels at the perimeter of the event, no louder than 80 decibels at the event and not beyond the perimeter. So I want to know, has the commission put the restraints on this event, or is this event going to be blasting people out in East Palatka, Lundy, Hastings, and in my neighborhood 2 miles away? The other thing is, and this is something that the commission should ask, in the agenda packet that I received, which I presume it's the one you received, it said the application was in it. I wanted to see when the application was applied for, because there is a time restraint. It's either 30 or 45 days before the event is when you apply. If you don't meet the time requirement, then the commission has the ability to let that go and go ahead and approve the event. So my question is, when was the event applied for, and do you all need to let this, give special permission to have it applied for after the time period? So that was my two concerns, is the sound and the time period. Was it applied for at the proper time period? If it wasn't, then you all do need to give approval for it to be applied for after the time period. And this is occurring 3 days from today, and you just got it today. The only other thing is, I would ask you, federal law says marijuana is illegal. Federal law. I believe the state of Florida says the same thing. There's been reports of marijuana smoking at Midtown Shopping Center during these events after the event. I would request that you make sure that the police, since it's a city property, if there's any illegal drug use on the city property, that you instruct the police to follow the law and make arrests. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cartwright, do you want to provide any additional information?
Well, on the decimal sound, Chief Matt Newcomb and I met with other staff and said we don't address that issue. And they'll have something there to make sure the sound don't go past that. And if it does, then we'll try to put it back into the box. What was the other question? The applicant applied for this. This was actually supposed to have been on July the 4th. In our special event meeting, we advised him to see if he could move it back because we had so much going on that same day, and it would be hard for us to have adequate staff to cover all these events. So this applicant came in. I give you the exact date. It's not in front of me right now, but I think he applied for this back in April. So it's well inside the number of days he had to be permitted. I can't answer about the marijuana in the area right there. I can't address it. Yeah. Okay. So May 28th, when we talked about the decimal, yes.
Okay.
So he's well inside the window of when we need to do this event.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
I know we talked about Booker Park, and I know there's renovations going on at Booker Park. How would that coincide, this event, with the construction that we have going on out there? Or have we started any construction?
Yeah, that would be a joke.
And I'm looking at Joe. I want him to come up here and answer the question.
Mr. Verrecchio?
Yes, sir. We have started construction out there as far as clearing out the old playground equipment. New playground equipment is coming in. Everything's been approved. It's shipping towards us now as we speak. We're going to put a 40-foot container out there to hold all the equipment as they install it for the week. At the same time, the splash pad is moving along great. They finally have the engineered drawings, and they're being pushed into the county as far as getting approval. Once that gets done, it'll continuously move forward. Also, we have FP&L is scheduling to come out there and start looking and doing a whole entire layout for the lighting for the entire park. Also, we are going to make the bathrooms full-time bathrooms. That's coming, yes, sir, and we're excited about it too. So we just finished we started putting the security system in this week for the doors so they can be open and controlled remotely at all times, so nobody has to actually deal with the key. We can schedule events in the future, so we're pretty excited about that. And we just had 3 different cameras put down in the bathrooms, the playgrounds, and towards...
Cameras in the bathroom?
No, towards the front of the bathroom, I apologize.
What the what?
Yeah, and then one towards the playground, so we can make sure everybody's safe. So that's in motion, sir. Yes, sir.
Good deal. I just want to make sure we're not going to mess up something we've already started doing over there, or it was going to conflict. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
To answer your question, we're going to work around all the construction they got going.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have another question? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I won't put him on the spot. I won't put you on the spot. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I just want to ask this question, and
I hope so, 1 second.
no, I won't. Go ahead and stop it right.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt Resolution 2026-R-116.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anybody else here for public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumer?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Carrera?
Yes. G, adopt resolution 2026-R-120, office spending plan July 23rd, 2026, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Palaca, Florida, authorizing the city manager to expend remaining American Recovery Plan Act funds totaling $1,109,856.34, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
So,
Yes.
Joseph Schultz is here. He's with Accenture. It is a company that you're familiar with. They have contracted with many cities and counties across the country and those here in the state of Florida who received ARPA allocations after COVID. And if you do not mind, I would like to ask if you can speak in general, informational-wise, to the ARPA program and pretty much where we are. But before he speaks, I'd just like to speak to what has occurred here in the city of Palaca relative to the ARPA allocation. We received a total of $5,234,421, and to date expended is $4,124,565. Remaining $1,109,856.34. In the original Commission, there were several community-based organizations listed for receipt of the ARPA funds. Very worthy organizations with services clearly that the community would have benefited from. Unfortunately, at this time, we as a city need to be able to fully obligate and expend all of these funds prior to the deadline. And it's not an obligation, it's a full expense, no excuses, as the federal government has stated, of all of the remaining funds. The recommendation is to utilize those funds for the organizations internally that we can validate and document personnel record, personnel expenditures, operating expenditures that have been obligated and expended, quite frankly, as of December 31st, 2024. The obligation would have been for December 31st, 2024, but we can ensure, as we may need to be audited and provide documentation that we have spent those funds by that deadline, allocating to police, fire, and our wastewater services. They are traditional municipal services that can very easily be validated as it relates to expenses. I wish the city was in a position where we can allocate funds to community-based organizations, but at this time, I am not sure that I can say that that will be done by the end of the calendar year. Hence the recommendation that you have before you today. And that recommendation is for the Palatka Fire Department. For public safety services, these are services that are traditionally provided by municipal government, $369,952.11. For wastewater, water reclamation treatment, the same amount, $369,952.11, and that is for an approved category by the federal government for infrastructure and utilities. And the final allocation is for the police department, public safety services, again, public safety services traditionally provided by municipal government in the amount of $369,952.12. So that would fully extend our ARPA funds immediately, and we would have no further concern about whether we would be returning any funds to the federal government. I hate that we're in this position at this point in time, but to make sure that we're not returning any dollars to the federal government, this is a safe recommendation. And with that, if you would mind.
Mr. Sheets, welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. Thank you all for having me tonight. It's a pleasure to be here before you. My name is Joseph Sheets. I'm a director with Accenture Infrastructure and Capital Projects. Our firm works around the world. You're doing different consulting scopes, but particularly my team works with grant funding, federal, state, and otherwise. And we've worked with the ARPA program since its inception on March 3rd of 2021 with over 30 different municipalities in the state of Florida, in addition to many, many others around the country. We've probably managed, I'd say, over $1 billion in ARPA funding around the U.S. Since its inception. So I'd like to go through the report that you have before you, although sometimes I know Ms. Curry speaks very well about pretty much everything she speaks of, so sometimes it's hard to go after her in these instances. Because she was correct in what she was discussing regarding the American Rescue Plan and some of the plans moving forward. Kind of take a small trip back in time, right, March 3rd, 2021, one of the peaks of the pandemic. President Biden signed into law the American Rescue Plan Act, which a part of that was the state and local fiscal recovery funds that allocated $350 billion of the $1.9 trillion stimulus funds for state and local governments to spend on a variety of different allowable items to address the impacts of the pandemic. The city of Palatka was allocated approximately $5.2 million of that funding. To date, approximately $4.2 million has been expended, with $1.1 million remaining. There's a few deadlines that were put in place, one of which was the obligation deadline of December 31st, 2024, then obviously the expenditure deadline of December 31st, 2026. So moving through the report, you have before you the proposed use of the remaining ARPA funding, all of which is technically in the revenue replacement expenditure category. There was initially 5, then 6, and then eventually 8 or 9 different expenditure categories eligible for ARPA funding. However, the most broad and the one one that carried the least amount of administrative burden was the revenue replacement allowability, which any entity, any local government could spend up to $10 million, or if their total allocation is less than $10 million, they could spend their entire allocation within that funding category, of which the city is not going to fall that category. So all of that approximately $5.2 million could go into that category. Why is it the most flexible? Well, the Treasury said you can spend it on a provision of government services. Right? What does that mean? It's a very broad definition, intentionally so. It identified that any of these municipalities that got these smaller applications, needed to have that lessening of the administrative burden on the program. So when we look at the projects that are being recommended for re-obligation, they all fall under that category, even with water, wastewater reclamation, right? That's a provision of government services. So we have the fire department, the water, wastewater reclamation, the police department, split equally amongst that plan. When we talk about obligations and the reconciliations, the one before you is to reduce the risk of non-expenditures, reduce as much as possible, reduce the risk of any of this funding being sent back to the federal government. We have, especially with the new administration, seen a much more aggressive communication about non-expenditures, about deadlines not changing. There will be no extensions. There will be no exceptions. If the funding is not spent by that deadline, December 31st, 2026, it will be going back to the Treasury. So from a compliance standpoint, we talked about obligations. An obligation by Treasury's definition is an order for property, services, entering in contracts, subawards, and similar transactions that require payment. Additionally, that can also be in the form of payroll obligations. Well, how do you obligate a payroll obligation in 2024 if you're not going to spend it until 2026? That happens, they consider an obligation being that position existed before December 31st, 2024. So as long as that position was budgeted and existed before then, it is eligible for expenditure through that period. So, any of the payroll costs that are identified for the expenditure would be eligible for re-obligation, activity. When the obligation deadline hit, there was a lot of chatter about what are the reasons we can re-obligate funding, right? Can we do it just because we don't like this project anymore? We're moving directions. There's some pretty specific instances, right? And they're detailed here in the report, right? Well, one of which is, right, the project would either come in under budget, right, or there was going to be inability to fulfill the commitment to spend the funding during the creator performance. So this would be that category that this would fall into. So again, the plan is meant to mitigate as much as possible any of the risk of clawback. It's a word that no one in local government wants to hear. And it's ineligible activity within the ARPA plan. And I think very well earlier, this is what we recommend as well as the best path forward.
Any questions of Mr. Sheets? No, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
No questions.
No questions? Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
In reference to the ARPA funds also could have been used for ADA purposes as well, as I read and I understood from a long time ago. And I know it may be at the last minute, but one of the things, as Joe just came up and talked about, some of our recreational areas don't have restrooms that's ADA compliant. So people with wheelchairs can't go in and utilize the bathroom, so we keep them locked during the day. Do you think we could use some of that money to do something like that, make those areas ADA compliant, along with what you're doing? I mean, we just take some of the money from some of those line items. I just think it'd be considered and helping a population that we haven't been able to help in the past.
So there's two parts to what you're asking. One is that an eligible activity? Yes. Would it have met the obligation deadline?
Won't be finished.
Well, so the obligation deadline was December 31st, 2020.
Well, not,
Right?
but
So
we're
if
not
there's
meeting now.
a payroll obligation or a contract or invoice, purchase order,
Got it.
any of those liabilities for payment or services, then it would not be eligible.
I understand. We get. Thank you. I just want to know.
Thank you. With that, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is anybody here for public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Borum,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yep.
Mayor Carrera.
Yes. Thank you. Do we want to take a recess? I would think not.
Could I? We passed something that I want to address. Too late. One of the events. Question about one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What am I doing? Okay, sorry. Adopt Resolution 2026 R123, canceling request for proposal for 2026-01 for financial audit services in its entirety.
Greetings, Mayor and Commissioners. I intend to review the staff report. This is an application request requesting the City Commission approval to formally cancel the RFP 2026-01 for financial audit services. That would void and reject all the 6 proposals received and authorize the development and reissuance of a new solicitation for these services at a later date. And to give you some background, on March 13th, the City of Palaca, about the city contracts, released the RFP for financial audit services bid posting. The solicitation was drafted and received necessary approvals from the Audit Selection Committee and the City Commission prior to publication. The procurement timeline progressed through April 10th, where the submission deadline and closed with 6 proposals received. April 28th, the Audit Committee conducted formal evaluations of all 6 submissions. May 6th, the Audit Selection Committee finalized and approved the proposer rankings. And following the subsequent posting of the intent to award, management decided to halt the procurement process. Pursuant to the Section G of RFP 2026-01, the city reserves the right to cancel the process. And so staff is recommending to cancel.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, with that, do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt Resolution 2026-R-123.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis? Yes. Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Borum?
Yes.
Mayor Carrera?
Yes. Recess, no. Move forward. On to number 9, budget presentation discussion, budget development presentation. Ms. Curry.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the commission. So you received a lot of information in the last week about the budget development process. I'm going to go through some of it with you. All of the directors are here today for any questions. I'm here to take direction as we continue to review and prepare a balanced budget for your consideration at the workshop coming up in late August. But I would like to say that the budget development process has been pretty robust. I term it Budget Rodeo Stage 1 because it really was only a couple of weeks that we had to meet with directors and just kind of get back and try to do some analysis around what we've been able to find. And when I say we, I introduced just briefly Cynthia Ramos, who has been working with me. Cynthia's here on the corner. She's met directors and met with staff, and we've been working diligently to prepare a balanced budget for you. What you have today is a compilation of a lot of information. I wanted to make sure that the commission had a lot of information relative to departments and the different components and elements of the budget that you normally may not be close to. And so I tried to put as much of that information out there relative to not only the general fund, but to all funds and positions that make up the budget for the city of Palatka. There are a little over 43 slides, and that, quite frankly, can get a little boring based on some of the information in those slides. So I've prepared a more executive presentation, if you will, of that information, and so I'll just roll through that information, and starting with all funds. You can move to the next slide. The all funds for the city, just based on where we are right now, is about $85.7 million. About $64 million of that is operating revenue, which excludes your transfers and fund balance, which are pretty hefty, which makes that 64 turn into the 85.7. And there are approximately 8 funds. Those funds are comprised of the utilities fund, the Better Place Plan, the sanitation fund, the general fund, the airport, and other funds such as the CRA tax increment fund, ARPA, and the golf course. I'd like to compare that $85.7 million figure to the fiscal 26 number, which is about the same number, $85.6 million. Moving to the next chart, all funds revenue by fund, you can see pretty much what makes up that. I'm going to focus on the column for fiscal year 2027, the estimate. The 85.9, you can see the different funds that make that up. The utilities fund actually leads it. It's the largest fund here, followed by, of course, the general fund, and then your Better Place fund, which includes quite a few grants, which quite frankly carries the city of Palatka in terms of contributions and support from the federal government and the state government. We've been very lucky, but we also have to be cognizant that reliance on grants can be problematic. As those grants expire, positions are funded by those grants, and then you have to roll back. And we have to be conscious of that as we continue to apply for grants to support our operations. On the all funds expenditure side, next slide, right now for fiscal 27, it is adding up to $84.5 million. It's a total including transfers, and I will say right up front, the whole transfer category of the budget, the reserve category of the budget, we'll talk about it a little bit, but that has to be flushed out a lot more thoroughly before I come back to you in August, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But of that $84.5 million, about $41.4 million of it, which is 49%, is comprised of capital and grants, which is what I just talked about, so it lets you know just how heavily we are relying on that particular fund. And I think that it's important, too, for us to talk about the significance of personnel out of the $84.5 million, knowing that a lot of it is capital and grants. Personnel is still about $17.4 million of that, and so it's still a hefty number that we will address. And I'll talk about personnel a little bit later. All funds expenditure by department, I'm on page 6 of 16. All funds expenditure by department, you can see that. And this is all funds, it's not just general fund, but we did have meetings with departments, and in that fiscal 27 estimate category, you can see the shift in the departments versus the budget that was adopted in 26. So you see some in red, some in black, which obviously the red is deficit, the black is more of additional monies put into those areas for now. And I say for now because obviously we will continue to review these numbers and bring back a balanced budget. Moving on to page 7, as it relates to positions by fund, right now we have been able to identify approximately 186 funded full-time FTEs citywide, and that's 172.5 field positions and 13.5 vacant positions. The general fund comprises about 113.5 of those positions, and then the other funds are 72.5. But a total of about 186. We're still refining that number with HR. We've got a couple of things that we need to work out in the fire department and a couple of other departments. So that number may shift by maybe 1 or 2 when you see it again. But for now, when we work with the department and HR, this is where we are. All funds positions by department. Again, we've got 186, 172.5 field, and 13.5 vacant. And what you'll see on the chart below that all of the departments, the funded FTEs, those that are filled, and those that are vacant. And we're trying to make sure that we can continue to track that. The O2 section of this is going to focus on general fund only. Moving to the next slide, the general fund right now is at $26 million. Of that $26 million, approximately $4.7 million of it is comprised of property taxes. This is revenue only. And the reserves are comprised of almost $3.5 million. This is general fund reserves budgeted only. That $3.5 million is comprised of more than just operating reserves for the general fund. There's some monies in there for fire. There's some reserves in there for police. There's some reserves in there for insurance. There are different reserves that are in that number. I have to flush that number out, so when I come back to you, I know exactly how much you are able to allocate as a commission that's not dedicated to something else, but it is showing up in the general fund. But for now, that is the number. On page 11, we look at the general fund revenue by major category. Obviously, taxes is the big one, and you can find the numbers associated with the other general categories totaling the 25.9, almost $26 million. We actually received today, I believe, correspondence from the state with updated numbers as of July for, I think, the state shared revenues. I don't think there was not a big difference in that, but we did receive that update today, and we'll load that number into the revenues as we continue to refine them. As it relates to expenditures on the general fund side, again, $25.9 million, which matches the $26 million approximately on the revenue side. Personnel just for general fund, out of the $17 million that I mentioned earlier, 12.2 of it belongs to the general fund, which is about 47% of the fund. And public safety, which is police and fire, comprises $10.2 million of the general fund expenses. On page 13, general fund expenditure by department. Again, in Budget Rodeo 1, the fiscal 27 estimate column gives you some idea of where we ended up in early discussions with departments in terms of budget request. I'll call it a request, estimate request. We are under in many of those departments, as you can see in red, and in a few of the departments, obviously the numbers are larger. Again, having to flush these numbers out. I'll also say that as I went through the budget, I'm using probably, let's see what I will use as an example. You see Public Works with a positive 655. We're going to sit with Public Works tomorrow and go through that, but obviously capital request is quite a bit of that because Public Works is capital heavy in terms of the work that they have to do. But we'll continue to flush that out as we move through the review of the budget. Quickly moving through on page 14. Switching back to positions, this is general fund only, 113 and a half. You saw that figure on a previous slide. Filled out of the 113 and a half, 103.5 positions, and there are 10 vacancies in the general fund as of today. You can see by department where those numbers lie and where those 10 vacancies are. We have a couple in the police department. The fire department may not have a vacancy. That's one of the things that we have to shake out. I believe that one may have been filled already. But right now, we're looking at approximately 10 vacancies. If you estimate the value of that, clearly close to probably $800,000-$900,000. So there is opportunity depending on where the vacancy is as to whether it will remain in the budget or out of the budget. We still have to shake that out, but there is an opportunity for savings around that number. What is still pending? The state revenue sharing, because we got that number on page 15 now, 16. Because we got the number today from the state on state revenue sharing, that is no longer pending, so we will roll that number into our estimates. We're going to have to finalize the personnel projections because we're still sitting down with HR to make sure that each department understands what their personnel numbers are. I think in the past, HR has handled the personnel side of the budget, and the departments handle the operating and capital side, and they come together, but they're not managed together, are not developed together, I'll put it that way. So now I'm putting everything together in terms of departmental budgets. We have one-time sources and uses of funds that need to be flushed out. There are a lot of one-time, and when I say one-time, I mean rolling over, for example, revenue from this year, call it carryover, a forward, carryover forward, that has to be flushed out because it inflates the budget, if you will. And so that has to be flushed out. Grant funds appropriated, needed to make sure that all of the grants that are showing in 27 are active grants, and that we're rolling in numbers that are actual numbers and not grants that have expired. I need to shake that out. The commission asked for a 5% and a 10% reduction. We have those numbers in aggregate, but when we come back in August, we'll actually programmatically be able to show you for whatever the department is, what that 5% represents in service and services provided, as well as the people involved in that. The reserve level and policy target, the reserves must be flushed out. There are reserves across all funds, but my concern is the reserves for the general fund, that this commission has a full handle on what that looks like. If you take a look at the annual financial report and look at the reserve that is unassigned there, those numbers are actually rolled into those numbers are in your operating budget. In my experience, those reserves should not be shown as revenues or expenditures in your operating budget, because little by little you use them. And they should not be used unless you come back to the commission and get approval to use those reserves. But they are right now rolled into the operating budget. And I need to be comfortable with the fact that if those funds have been used, there's been a budget amendment attached to the use of those funds that have been approved. That amendment has been approved by the commission. So I've got to flush that out. And of course, the fire assessment exemption, we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the meeting today, but that is still pending. I know that there was a meeting and there was an approval overall for the fire assessment, but still some conversation needed to take place about the exemptions. And so that really is where we are pending on that. But this is general information. It is not a recommendation. I promise you that when we return in August, we will have a recommendation. This is based on a maximum millage rate, which will also come up later in the discussion. The maximum millage rate is 6.2397, and it is the best place right now for us to land until we are able to share with you more detail about the general fund budget that obviously is driven by property tax, and whether we need that flat rate or whether we can go below that flat rate all the way to rollback. I'm not convinced that we cannot go back to rollback based on what I'm seeing, but I don't want to make that decision before I've fully flushed out the reserves and all of the transfers in and all of the transfers out, all of the debt service, not debt service payments, but all of the payments that have to be made for loans that have been taken out. There's a lot of that in the budget that needs to be flushed out further. So right now, what I have shared with you is based on maintaining a maximum millage rate, and then coming back in August and presenting to you a balanced budget, particularly for the general fund, that hopefully will allow us to move below that. And so that is the budget presentation for this evening.
I just have a comment, Ms. Curry and team. Can I just say thank you for making a clear and concise budget presentation that I think will lend to the commission making better decisions. So thank you very much for all your hard work in such a short period of time. So the rodeo has been successful for phase one.
It's been a little bumpy, but we're moving along. It'll work itself out. You'll have solid recommendations at your workshop in August.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes, and I concur with Commissioner Davis. I want to thank you for the work you and the staff has put in to make this budget crystal clear. 2020, Vision 2020, you're very clear with your budget, and you also gave us clear recommendations in the budget packet that you provide us to help us to make best.
The budget package is more detailed than it should be, but
Right.
I figured starting out, you needed to see as much of the detail as possible. There's a lot in there that really and truly I'm not able to explain right now, and I don't have a problem admitting that. That's what time will allow me to better understand it, and when I come back in August, be able to provide a balanced budget, and hopefully one that will be less reliant on the maximum millage rate.
Right. So it doesn't leave any questions in my mind as it relates to like there has been in the past, but thank you for all you've done.
Anybody else?
I agree too, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
That,
Could you put your mic on and speak into your mic, please?
Mayor, for reminding me. On page 3 of 7, we talk about ARPA funding. And, yeah, so on the ARPA funding, what we just talked to with our consultant, we're talking about expending $1,109,000.
Yes.
And then on here,
Yes,
you guys have $1,283,000.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's a difference of
there is
$103,000.
that figure, and that is not correct. And if you recall, a couple of days ago, the budget, the agenda that you're looking at now was republished. It was republished because I saw the difference in the two numbers for ARPA and asked that the clerk republish the agenda with the correct number in it, which is the 1.109 number that you all just reviewed. When I come back in August, that 1,000,002 will be a different number. That is not the correct number.
Yeah. Well, this is the packet I have, so I mean, it's here and here.
But let me just
I didn't
say,
get up there.
Commissioner Jones is correct. The ARPA number it was two different, no, actually it was three different numbers, and I finally settled it down to the 1.109, which is the correct number.
All right, thank you. Thank you for being on point there, Ms. Curry. I can't say that about you. Thank you.
Watch the numbers.
With that
I
said,
can make mistakes too.
okay.
Oh, no, I wasn't
Being
just
human,
pointing.
that happens at
Hey.
times.
I want to get kudos for a good catch, that's all.
I said good catch.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, we need to provide some direction.
No, I mean, this was informational. If you had
Okay,
direction to
great.
provide,
Okay,
clearly
thank you.
I'm here to take
Perfect.
it, but, we're moving
Okay.
right along.
Okay, thank you. On to public hearings. Adopt Resolution 2026-R-114, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Palaca, Putnam County, Florida, relating to the levy of general municipal purpose ad valorem taxes for the fiscal year 2026-2027, beginning October 1st, 2026, and ending September 30th, 2027, establishing a proposed maximum millage rate, computing the rollback rate, setting a public hearing, providing for notice to the Putnam County property appraiser, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an immediate effective date.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor?
Go ahead, please.
Members of the commission, so this is the maximum millage item. Just an overview, if I can get the slides to roll on the property tax and millage. As she is moving along on that, the certified taxable value is at $794.5 million. This is up from the 25 roll tax roll of $742 million. This generates $4.7 million at the flat rate of 6.2397. And that is budgeted at 95%. I think one of the things that we picked up as we were reviewing the budget is that the state statute that does not allow you to budget 100% of your revenue, we cannot do that. We are budgeting at 95%. And that, of course, equates to $75,475 per tenth of a mil. I don't think it's necessary for me to talk about what a mil is, but it is $1 of every $1,000 of taxable value, and right now we're at 6.2397. Our property tax, if you have $6.24 per 1,000 of taxable value for city services, that's basically what the 6.2397 equates to. This roll grew about 7.03% up from 25. And so we did get some roll growth, but between the June roll that we got and the July roll that we got, it actually went down about $10 million. So we actually lost between June and July. And so it's notable. If you take a look at page 3, you can take a look at where you've been with your millages over time and the taxable value. So starting in 2014, you can see that the millage rate was as high as 9.17. And you can see the roll at that time was $364 million. You can see probably better on what you're looking at your places than on the screen, because it's really small. But the roll from 2014, it grew from $364 million to what we've been talking about recently, and that is the $794.5 million. So you can see the tax roll has grown. The millage rate is actually dropped, but obviously we've been taking advantage of the growth in the roll to generate that additional revenue to support your operating expenses. But it's interesting to see how the 6.4 millage rate has carried over time, the same flat rate, but still taking advantage of the growth on the roll. And so in fiscal 26, you actually did go to rollback, the 6.2397. We're suggesting that that be the maximum millage rate for this particular time frame. But 6.2397 may have been rolled back last year, but it will represent a slight tax increase if we stay flat, because we're still right now taking advantage of the growth on the roll, which generates an additional maybe $237,000, $237 next chart. Yes, the rollback rate, 5.248, that's what rollback would be if we went to rollback. And I'm not saying that we won't, but that is what that rate is. It's generated for us, by the property appraiser. 6.2397 is the flat rate, as I've said more than a few times, and it generates an additional $237,684 in revenue that we are taking advantage of because of the growth on the roll. Millage options on page 5 of 9. Rollback, we just talked about that, 5.9248, current rate 6.3297. If you go to rollback, we only need a majority vote, that's 3 out of 5. If you go to a higher vote than that, you're going to need 2/3 votes, which is going to be 4 out of 5. So we'll see where we end up in August, but these are the options that you have. What it means for a property owner on page 6 of 9, we basically use the assessment of $50,000 up to $150,000. Taxable after homestead, the homestead of course is $25,000. And you can see what that individual, a property owner would be paying at rollback at 5.248 and at the current flat rate of 6.2397. You can see what those numbers are. But this is always good for you to have as you're talking to residents and they're curious about what the rates mean for them and where their homes are assessed. But the homestead exemption is key. The property tax reform on the horizon is also key on page 8. We're talking about a vote in November that would severely impact the revenue, and that is as of January 2027. We would actually, if that item passes, the city and other cities and counties would be looking at revenues rolling back. For 27, we're talking a little over $483,000. These numbers are still as of the June 1 roll. Cities and counties don't calculate these numbers. These numbers have to come to us from the property appraiser, and so I just want to make that clear. These numbers may be a little different, but I asked for the numbers and, we weren't able to get them in time for this presentation. So if that item passes, we're looking at rolling back revenue to the tune of a little over $483,000. And if the item passes, it not only affects your 27 budget, but it affects your 28 budget. And that compounds with an additional $586,000 approximately in impact on the budget. If this happens, 96% of the homesteads in the city would not be paying any property taxes. And this is $150,000 homestead exemption in 27 and a $250,000 homestead exemption in 28. And there's some stipulations around that in terms of who is able to get it, and I won't go into that. But it is going to have a significant impact on revenue generation, not only for the city of Gainesville, but the county of Putnam and all of the other cities and counties around the state. Final, page 7 of 9, it's actually not the final page. So the action required today is to set the 27 maximum not to exceed millage rate at 6.2397, holding the rate flat at its current level for certification to the property appraiser. The maximum is a ceiling. It's not the final rate. The commission can adopt a lower rate at the September hearings. It cannot go higher without mailing a new notice to every property owner. This is a number on the August tax notice. Property owners will see the maximum on their trim notice. The final rate is September 10th. The final rate is set on September 10th at your first budget public hearing, and the 24th, the second and final public hearing. A flat ceiling preserves right now every option through hearings, including adopting the rollback rate. So today is nothing final. It's just setting a ceiling and giving me the opportunity to come back and present something that hopefully will be acceptable to you as you move into your hearings on the 10th and the 24th.
Any questions or discussion?
I don't have discussion.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
Yes, based on the FY 2027 budget development update, I move to set the tentative millage rate at the current rate of 6.2397 and adopt 2026 R-114. A lot of words.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing no one, close public comment. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Borum,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Ferrero.
Yes. Thank you. Unanimous approval. On to ratify and confirm the fire assessment resolution adopted on May 28, 2026. Ms. Curry?
Yes, ma'am. So I am, Madam Mayor, members of the commission, I am going to ask the city attorney to weigh on this. We had a situation where the ad was, I think the meeting, was it in May? You may want to go and summarize this because it was prior to my coming in, but we had to place an ad out in addition to the original ad to make some changes that were required so that we, were totally transparent. Jane, you may want to.
Sure. Ms. Curry is accurate. This initially was adopted, the resolution, on May 28th, and this is a remedial public notice that had to be republished in order to include the statutorily required map of the jurisdictional boundaries of the city. This is not intended to open it back up for any purpose. However, it is encouraged due to the remedial nature that you open it up for public comment. The process is laid out in your staff report to open the public hearing on the limited remedial matter and receive and consider any public comment, and then close the public hearing and ratify and confirm the resolution that you already adopted on May 28th.
Thank you. I know, is there anybody here for public comment? I know that Ms. Kitchens has a public comment card in. Please come on up.
Elizabeth Kitchens from Blackton, Florida, and I'll have the same comment that I had at the budget workshop. You don't go up on the fire tap. Let me rephrase that. Our charity groups, the churches, the Bread of Life, they feed people. The Christian Service Center helps people pay utility bills when they get in the gym. It helps them pay rent. It gives them clothes. The Elks Club, the Moose Lodge, the Burr Hodge Post, the VFW Post, all these people do very important charitable work for our citizens that the City Commission cannot or will not do. I just saw where you can't use ARPA money for the homeless. Okay, you can't use ARPA money for the homeless. Great. So what are the homeless going to do? Who provides their shelter? Who provides their food? Who provides their clothes? It's these organizations. If you get rid of the exemption that the wholly exempt people have, including the churches, you're going to put a massive, massive financial burden onto these organizations. They will not be able to continue to do the charitable work that they have previously been doing in the city of Palatka. So you need to think very hard about it before you remove these exemptions. It's not that many of them. The total, if I remember correctly from the finance director's thing, $96,000. Now, that may sound big to me and to some of y'all individually, but out of the city budget, that is nothing but a drop of water in a huge rain barrel. You all each get $5,000 each year, which is $25,000 for, I call it mad money, but this is for your special projects. 3 years worth of your money would equal $75,000. That would help offset the fire fee. But no, you need to think about these wholly exempt things. The churches and these charity clubs, charity organizations, they're helping local people. They are helping people. And I'll give an example of First Baptist Church. When the fire fee first went in, for our sanctuary alone, without the administrative fee that now is charged to the tax collector, without the assessed value going up, for our building alone, it would be $10,000 in a fire fee. That money comes out of utilities for running the church, that comes out of salaries, and that comes out of whatever charitable work we do, including missions. For St. James was somewhere over $8,000 worth of fire tax for the building. Now with the assessed value going up, and now the administrative fees added by the tax collector and the property appraiser, God knows what it's going to be. You're going to almost put the churches out of business. How can they continue to stay in business? And how can they help people? Think about this. The Bread of Life, the Christian Service Center. If you don't like churches, that's your prerogative. But think about these other organizations that help people. Please give this careful thought and don't remove the exemptions from these charitable projects. You can find the money someplace else. There's plenty of money floating around for recreation. You have a recreation once a week during the summertime. Cut a couple of those out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion? Go ahead, Ms. Curry.
So, Madam Mayor, members of the commission, the last meeting did set the rate. It did set the fire assessment rate, but there was still a question about the exemptions. And so I think that is on the table for discussion by the commission as to whether you want to remain with the 50% transitional level is what it is called, if I'm saying that correctly, I believe, after speaking with the consultant, Mr. Lawson, that this transitional level was actually supposed to move away at some point in time, but it's remained at 50% for a while. And it does represent $96,553 of institutional revenue that we would need to put back in. Everybody has to be treated equally here, and so we can't just let this go without putting the money back in or taking it from somewhere else. What you all asked staff to do was provide some options with percentages, and so that is on page 2 of 3 of the staff report in terms of 100% what that would cost, 95, 90, 80, 75, 50, which is where we are, and 25%. It is a discussion to be held by the commission, and we'll take direction based on what you all decide. Right now, it is not built into the budget.
That's good. Okay. Discussion?
Could you make that bigger, please? Because I got on glasses too. I'm sorry.
It's on page 2.
It's right in here.
Yeah. Well, I want the people to see it. That's what's important. It's important for them. There. So, can I talk?
Yes, you can, you are.
So my request was to give our constituents a reprieve and actually lower the fire assessment fee for everybody, not just the churches. But in addition to that, Ms. Kitchen, I am the person that said not-for-profits and churches should pay their fair share. Because you know why? A church can actually have any kind of fundraiser and make money tax-free. They have church anniversaries, pastors' anniversaries, and whatever they want to name to raise money. And I'm not talking bad. I support the church as well. What I'm saying is the church probably is able to get money faster and untaxed quicker than you and I. And I'm not just talking about me, and I don't want to just put you in this equation, but we're talking about a lot of folk that live on fixed incomes. And that fire assessment fee, along with city tax, county tax, school tax with the referendum we just had, and other fees, it's a lot for constituents around. We talk to them all the time. You know how it is when people ring your phone and asking you about this. So we're trying to have a win-win situation. The fee is here. The fee has got us out of trouble from the past administration and commission. So we want to stay at a level where we do have money to pay our bills as the city. So what do you think would be fair? I would like to ask someone from the, we having a discussion. What do they think would be fair?
Well, no, yes,
I-
she's not.
I'm still making a
Also,
statement. I'm making a statement saying,
And I-
what do we think would be fair? We're not bashing the 501(c)(3)s or the churches, but we're saying if the public has to pay at 100%, what percentage do you think the church should pay? You really think they shouldn't pay anything? The churches don't pay taxes. This is a fee to say if my 1,200 square foot house catches fire, it's going to cost less than putting out a First Baptist church. It won't, will it? It won't take as much effort. It's not going to take as much water. It won't take as much resources. So when you add those things together, and I'm talking in general, so I'm not talking directly to my speaker.
Well, you kind of are, and this.
I'm not. I'm making a point. So that's what we're tasked with, and that's why I think that the public is due an explanation and see where we are as far as making this decision. So what I say is, it doesn't take the same amount of resources, but we pay more. So it's a pretty tough task to try to balance it. So, but I'm just saying again for this board and my colleagues, that's what the position I take. I think that we should consider either lowering it for all taxpayers or fee payers, or we must have the 501(c)(3)s and the churches pay a little more.
So if I might, Madam Mayor?
Please.
No, on May 28th, the rate was set. We opened the public hearing up because we wanted to be totally transparent relative to the ad.
Right, that's
you
what I'm
know,
trying to
and
get back
so-
to.
So we are at a reconsideration is kind of where it is, because that decision was really made on the 28th. The only thing that was left open was on the exemption.
Correct.
And whether that should actually remain at 50% or not. And so that's where we are.
And-
Hopefully not at a reconsideration of the
Go
assessment.
ahead, Commissioner Davis. Oh, did you want to go?
You go first. No, okay. Well, I was just going to make a quick comment. If they can just pull up the slide number 5 from the presentation, that'll kind of help explain a lot to do with the overall implementation. Go back. No, I'm sorry. Go back to 7. Maybe it was 7, 8. 9. Which one would that had the trend from with the millage rate from 6? Was it? Yes, 9.1478. So this just gives a historical perspective of what caused us to be able to put the fire fee in place to put us in the position that we're in today, to be able to be as vibrant as we are today. And so that's why we're here. And we was trying to, it was initially put in place, and we're supposed to have been backing it out, reviewing it every year and trying to back it out. But somehow that didn't happen because it takes the commission to be able to help back that out. So we couldn't all agree on moving it back. So we have several commissioners who's tried to lower that rate continuously, and we have made some progress. But that's where we are. That's what got us in the position of where you see all of the growth, all of the infrastructure going in and everything as it relates to the pipe that you see in the ground, our water lines, and all the other growth you see in here, the number of people that we've hired over the years, the wages that we put in place and different things in there. So that's all built into this. That shows success. So, but yeah, and so again, I concur with Commissioner Jones as it relates to if we're going to have our residents pay at 100%, then the institutions that also don't pay taxes, but they also earn grants. They get grants. They don't pay taxes, but they get tax dollars through the form of grants. They get revenue through donations, generous donations from people untaxed. So I think from a fairness standpoint and service, they receive the services from our fire, police, and everything else, the utilization of the roads. So everybody who attend these churches, there's a number of calls that go out to these churches, from emergency services to everything else. So I'm just going to conclude with that. So I think that, those are the things. So if we're going to do it for one, we need to do it for all, and we need to try and roll it back. I'm a proponent of trying to be more fiscally responsible, and let's roll this back. I'm always a proponent to help lower taxes, and this is what we've done over the years. So I'm completely in agreement with Commissioner Jones.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. I move to ratify and confirm the fire assessment resolution that was adopted on May 28th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Roll call, please. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Jones?
Nay.
Commissioner Gore?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Carrera?
Yes. Thank you. Onward, request to annex, amend the future land use map or rezone 503 East Harris Street, Palatka, Florida, parcel 01-10-26-3150-0080-0090, parcel 01-10-26-3150-0080-0100, parcel 01-10-26-3150-0080-0110, parcel 01-10-26-3150-3150-0, let's say it's duplicate, 0090-0040, parcel 01-10-26-3190-0090-0050, parcel 01-10-26-3150-0090-0060, parcel 01-10-26-3150-0080-0080, and parcel 01-1026-3150-0080-0070. Mr. Agamo.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I'm asking, requesting a continuance of this item. Item 10C, three ordinances to the next city commission at a time certain.
I'll make a motion that we continue this item until the next commission meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, I could have done roll call. Any opposition? Thank you. Adoption of the City of Palatka Comprehensive Plan 2145, ordinance number 2026-31. Mr. Agamo.
Yes, Commissioner, Madam Mayor, if you may recall, the City of Palatka adopted Comprehensive Plan 2045 back in December of last year, and it was transmitted to the state for a coordinated state review. The Florida Department of Commerce, after their review, determined that the comprehensive plan to be null and void due to inconsistency or violation of Senate Bill 180, which was codified in the Florida statute as Chapter 2025-190. After we received the notice from the state, we requested the state to give us a staff report so we can see what were the inconsistencies that was pointed out by the state. And they basically have two categories that they raised in their letter and their staff report. One was that policies that were more restrictive or burdensome than what we have currently. And the other was that potentially could be more restrictive. After we received the staff report from the state, we tried to meet with them. We tried to call them. They wouldn't return our calls. They wouldn't meet with us. So I work with our consultants, JB Pro, to address every single one of those inconsistencies or that were raised by the state, and we made changes to the policies. In some cases, we deleted policies. In some cases, we edited and removed some, for example, if the word was shall, and they have issue with that, we put should. So we provided a new amended comprehensive plan with those changes that we proposed. It was reviewed by the planning board July 7th, and it was recommended for approval. Staff also is recommended that you approve this comprehensive plan for transmittal to the state. It will go to the Department of Commerce and for the state coordinator review. The state has 60 days to respond to our submission, to provide comments to us, objection, comments, and recommendations. And after we receive that, we will address, if they have any more issues, we will address their comments, and then eventually bring it back for adoption to the city commission, which I believe will be probably 2 or 3 months from now.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Agama? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, a second. Is anybody here for public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Boren?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Yes. Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah.
Mayor Carrera?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. On to commissioner comments. Do we have anybody that has any comments?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner Barham?
No comments.
Commissioner Jones?
I do. I have a couple things to address. Kind of addressed them earlier. In reference to the event, special event planning, I was asked a question today randomly in reference to the block party that has passed and was officer-involved incident. And the question was, as we approve these events, and I looked in the packet before I asked the question, I want to look again before I make any comment on it, and I did look. There's no insurance that the person that is sponsoring the event or having it, there's no insurance that they have or that's in our packet. And I think that that's something that we need to look into because it's going to have us for some kind of litigation. And that person that was calling me was asking me all of these questions. So it seems like a frame of mind to go there. And I asked the city attorney, and she gave me the answer. And as we look, we're approving these things. And, you know, the backlash that we received before, things happen. We have no control over them. And it seemed like a fun event. And I support it, as we all have. But we need to make certain that these individuals are getting their own insurance, because when something happens, it's going to come back on the city. And we got to be more responsible in the front of these things before we just go ahead and sign off on them. And so I didn't want to actually say it at an inappropriate time. I want to be more appropriate. That's what we need to do that. And do you agree with that, Attorney West?
100%.
Okay. So that is something that has, and you guys know what happened after that event. We got fingers pointed at us. So that is something we can do. And I don't know, either we get the insurance or they get the insurance when they have the liability insurance when they have these events. And I guess there should be a threshold. A kid party, of course, and we should be okay with that. But when you start talking about adults, even a kid party, it can get hurt on our property. A whole harmless is not enough. I think it should be liability insurance. Can we get that brought to us in the form of a policy that we pass to make that happen? That would be more.
And my understanding was it was part of the special
It's supposed
events
to be-
policy, process. And
Right.
you have to provide the documentation, having done them in the past.
Right.
You have to provide proof of insurance and name the city as well. So that should be, that is the way it is. I don't know if this one slipped through the
You see it in
cracks. It did, okay, and so that is an issue, and thank you for bringing that up, but that is already in policy.
You want me to ask that question from here?
I beg your pardon?
The one I
It
talked
should-
to you about earlier. Do you want me to ask it here? Because I think they're an assumption that it was.
Yeah, it is absolutely policy for a certain level of special events. I would have to defer to the Community Affairs Director on what thresholds, special event A or B or C. But it is already policy that they have to have their own certificate of insurance provided prior to the event. It's part of the checklist that they go through in the special events process. They're supposed to provide documentation of that COI.
So supposed to.
Yes.
So can Madam Clerk or somebody look and see is it in here that I overlook it? Because I did not see one.
Right. As to the one that you approved
We
today?
just approved it.
Yes, so I did see that on the application for the special events permit, they indicated that the COI was going to be provided after commission approval.
I think
That is
it-
in the-
But
in
I
the
think, I
application.
agree.
It should be,
before.
yes,
I
why we
Right,
approved
it's-
it and they never get it.
I
And it's absent in the one that I just spoke of, and it didn't happen.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. That process in terms of the timing of the COI needs to be provided prior to.
Yes.
Yes, we agree, we all
All right.
agree with that,
Um,
you're right.
Secondly, as I listen to Lorenzo speak on zoning and the Harris Street area, did he leave? Oh, the Harris Street area that you're bringing to us today. I know we spoke about it, mentioned it several times, going back and forth about squaring off the boundaries within the city so that we would have, in areas like the Rolling Hills area, either make it squared off so to be city, in the city limits, so they get city water, city sewer. The Baileyville area, the area where you're talking about Harris Street, squaring those boundaries off so to be city, and we can provide city water and sewer. At least offer it. If those residents don't want it, that's one thing, but we need to make an effort, and I've requested it, and requested that we make an effort. Here's a request, and here's a request for somebody to do just what I was asking, and it's here before us. But I haven't seen any effort that we have put out to try to facilitate that.
You're correct, Commissioner. We haven't done that yet. We haven't, in the last discussion that we had on this item, if you remember, we presented you the issues involved with doing the annexation of that area.
Yeah.
Also, remind you that it is a voluntary process. We were prepared, to go and do a program to reach out to property owners. However, that direction we never got from the city commission. We had that discussion at the public meeting, but there was not a formal direction for us to do that.
It was a direction of this board.
We did give direction. Yes.
Well, I think we would have to look back to verify that, but also, there was a cost to it. I mean, yes, it's voluntary, and there's a cost.
Okay.
But I think that's what the issue, the cost of it to provide, and then it was direction for us to go look into, to get a grant that the state has, and we did look into that. The problem is that the applicant has to be the county because those properties are within the jurisdiction of the county, not the city. So we couldn't apply for it.
Well, here's an
I
opportunity.
think I provided an email on that, or a report to the commission.
So here's an opportunity, Harris Street, they're requesting it. So
Oh,
here's
yes.
an opportunity to make that happen.
Oh, yes,
So I want to
absolutely.
point it out to you
Oh,
in this
please.
meeting so that
Yeah.
we won't have to have a one-on-one. We need that to happen. Because now the county have an ask for us, and are we going to give them the same response that you just gave me? It's too costly. What do we gain by their request?
I'm not aware of the request from the county.
I don't
I'm
either,
not aware of it.
but It'll be coming up soon. So, but I would like to have the costs that's associated so that so we could actually tell them as well.
Yeah.
So, I know you've been out for a
We
minute.
do have those numbers. It was about close to $40 million to extend the sewer and the water lines.
$40 million?
Yeah, if I remember, that was what Public Works prepared.
Okay. So Harris Street actually goes all the way through the Baileyville area. So I want to see how we make this happen. So maybe I'll stand down and wait to see what happens here.
This request that we have today, that it was asked to be continued, yeah, those definitely going to be annexed. You know, planning board recommended approval, staff is recommended approval. There's no any issues with this annexation.
Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned the planning board. This is my last one, I promise. Rebuild Florida is a Department of Commerce program. They've been doing great work in the city of Palatka and Putnam County.
Yes.
They've been rehabbing houses, or in some cases, they tear down and actually build a new home for people. In certain areas, it has happened, well, it was brought to my attention, the young man from Tallahassee, with that program, called and wanted to have an appeal for someone who lived in an existing home, and they decided that they needed to tear their house down to rebuild. And they've been going through this process over a year. And this is what I gather. And you can tell me. So could you tell me could you give me some insight on?
It hasn't been a year.
Okay, could you?
It started with a request for a zoning verification letter, and that was in May of this year.
Okay. Of this year?
Excuse me, may we get some understanding of what we're talking
So you're
about?
talking about.
Please, from
I want him, let him.
from
let him get
Mr.
it.
Argama.
Mr. Argamo, tell us
We're
the
talking-
background, please.
Yes, we're talking about an existing house on St. John's Avenue, 1509. It's an existing dwelling unit. It's a non-conforming use because it's zone commercial. The intent of the program, the engineer working with the state, is to demolish the house and put a new one. The problem is that because it's a non-conforming use, they are vested to continue, and they can remain. The problem when they demolish, they lose their vesting provision, and therefore, our code does not allow to put a new house.
It has to become commercial at that point.
Well, the only option they have really is to make it commercial on the first floor and residential on top. So I've been working with them, with the applicant, with the state, with the engineering firm over this issue for the last 2 months. And the option that we looked with the engineering firm was, the option they had was to appeal the decision, the determination by staff, that it was a non-conforming use, it cannot be demolished and replace it. The other option was for them to get a rezoning. So they opted to proceed with both options, and we took it to the planning board, first as an appeal. The appeal was not granted, and then the rezoning was heard, and the planning board recommended denial.
If I might interject.
Go ahead, please.
Well, this was brought to my attention as well. I've had the discussions not only with Mr. Akimo, but I've also had it in the presence of Ms. West. I went by, took a look at it. I know the history. I've spoken to Keon Scott from the State Department of Commerce. I had some concerns based on the circumstances. I know zoning and I don't know zoning, but I do realize that there are zoning rules that apply, maybe some precedent that applies, but there is also a point of entree for this commission to also have something to say about that as a final decision. I've spoken to Mr. Akimo about that. It is to be brought back in a report form, and if there is an opportunity for this commission to take action on this over whatever the appeals board or Mr. Akimo, who I think made the initial decision to decline, if there is an entree point for this commission to make a decision one way or the other, I would like for that to happen on the 27th. Is that what we discussed?
Yes, if I just may add, the only option really available for the city commission to have entry is to review the zoning request, future land use amendment and zoning request. And that's going to be placed on your agenda for the August meeting. The appeal option is not available anymore. There is an appeal period which you have to file, and that passed.
Just a point of clarification, and this is for our city attorney. When an item comes before the zoning board and they recommend approval or denial, when they have an approval and it comes to the commission to be ratified, correct?
It depends on the nature of the land use change. Not all of their recommendations are in an advisory capacity, some are final.
Okay. And is that the case for when they deny? Would the same rules apply, or does the commission get to ratify?
So in this particular case, it was a staff recommendation of denial that was appealed to the planning board, and that does not come before the city commission unless they were to make some sort of formal appeal of that, and they didn't.
But you're bringing this back at the next meeting? You're going to make a report and bring it to the commission at the next meeting? Can you clarify what's going to happen with this?
Yeah, let me explain, why it was not been brought to you before. Right after the planning board meeting, when the appeal was not granted and the rezoning was recommended for denial, 2 days later, they called back to my office and telling us that they were going to proceed with the renovation of the house and not the demolition, which is fine. They can do the renovation. It will not trigger any non-conforming vesting provision. So that's why I didn't bring it back to the city, because they were working on that. They changed their mind later on. Okay?
And so we're
And we, as of today, I did receive an email from Keon with a report saying that the renovation is not feasible. They want to demolish the house. The only way for them to do that is when I bring back the future land use amendment and rezoning application to you for your consideration. If you approve that, then they will be able to do what they want to do.
Thank you.
But I need to tell you, though, that,
I
okay, I can say that
No.
we have a recommendation from planning board, and you have recommendation from staff, which is for denial, and that's not going to change.
That's fine, and that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I still have two questions along. When was the zoning changed? Because that house been there a lot longer than one of those businesses there. Actually, it's two houses. And along that corridor, all along that corridor, you have mixed use. You have residence, business, residence, business. So that's on St. John's Avenue from Mosley all the way down to 11th Street. So it's mixed use. So when was it changed? I just want to know when was it changed?
I believe it was 2008.
2008?
Yes.
And she was non-conforming since 2008?
That's correct. When the commission approved the zoning of commercial, you made it non-conforming. And you put specific provisions in the commercial zoning that new single-family home or new residential unit could not be built. And there's about 7 houses existing today in that corridor. And there was the intent of the city to make that a commercial corridor.
So the city kind of did their own gentrification.
That's correct, yes.
That's what that is.
Yes.
So, but it is coming back to us, and we can set precedents.
You
and
can
change.
grant the rezoning, the future land use amendment, and that would be the only residential zoning within the whole corridor.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Are you all set?
I'm set.
Commissioner Jones actually brought up what I was going to make mention of in this meeting, so I look forward to the conversation in August.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Are we all set? Do you have a motion to adjourn?